All right. Couple things before I start. I have a couple cats, or like two actually. So if you see them running around the background or trying to jump on my lap, that's it. Hopefully you can cut that out or whatever. But with that being said, I'm also probably going to do little snippets as well. I'll do a video edit software to mesh them all together. With that said, though, my name is Anthony. How old am I? I am 25 years old. Where am I from? Um, so I am originally from Texas, a city called McAllen, Texas. It's about the very southern tip of Texas. It's a border town, so maybe around, I would say 10 miles next to the border. Born and raised over there. Uh, Interesting fact is that it's one of the most obese cities in the nation, so that's a fun fact for that city. How long have you been with your job? So currently, my job is a PhD student, if you want to call it a job. Um, Technically, I still have work to do other than taking classes. Have to TA for courses. I have to teach a course actually pretty soon as well. So there's some like job responsibilities to deal with that. How much schooling did you complete? So I'm doing a first year of my PhD or just finished it. But before that, I did a got high school education. I got undergraduate degree as well. Also did a 1 year master's. So I've gone up to a master's, at least accomplishment wise. Do you have any special license or certifications? So my PhD is in accounting, and I do have a CPA license. Not technically, whoever holds me liable because I am 1 month short of getting work experience credit for it. But thankfully, once I do teach a course, that should give me the requirements to do the certification because I did all the exams and I did everything else. So just waiting on that last part. So technically, I don't have it, but I'm very close to getting it, if that makes any sense. How much money do you make per year? So interesting thing is with PhD students, kind of depends what school you go to or what major you do. You do get a stipend usually. So it's like I said, it's kind of jobby, so they do pay you, thankfully. How much money I make from this stipend is I think around 37 or 38K. Um, which is it's a good amount. I'm happily living off of that amount. I also do like little things here and there. I try to like rent my car because I don't really use it all that much. Try to sell things here and there, so maybe that nets me like a few other $1,000. So maybe I don't know, like 42, 45. So that's how much I make a year on average. Do you own or rent your home? I do rent my home. It's an apartment. uh, I don't plan to, after I graduate, I probably will go somewhere else or to another university. So just renting it out right now. How much do you pay for housing? So usually want to pay about 30% for housing, but I have enough savings. I would say I'm pretty disciplined, so I'm a little above that. So rent it for me, it's about 1,300. So with a stipend of like, I don't know, 37, 38,000, that's about like, I don't know, 35% take about. So not too proud of it, especially because I'm very cheap and frugal, but I'm very happy where I am close to campus. So that's my justification at least. What is your marital status? So I am single, not married to anyone whatsoever right now. How many people live in your household? Just myself. So yes, just one person. Do you have any pets? So I mentioned before starting this video, I do have two cats. They keep me company while I'm doing work here. So yeah, name is Phoebe and Arthur for them. You may see them on the couch or trying to get on me during this video. How much do you think you spend on groceries for your household? So that is something I try to keep account of constantly. So my ideal goal is to spend around maybe 40, $50 a week for it. Um, Thankfully, I've been pretty good about making rice pretty often, even beans to cheap grains, chicken as protein and stuff. So thankfully that's kept my budget around, I would say, $40 to $50. I will say also buying wholesale. People make fun of me for going to Costco all the time as a person living by himself, but if you buy everything in bulk, like chicken, frozen fruit, and all that stuff, and you freeze it, like it does last you a good while. And if you buy like cheap grains like beans, rice, and get some veggies too, also, it can go a long way. So that's how much I spend on groceries, about $40 to $50 a week. How healthy would you say your diet is? I would say pretty good. Obviously not the best. Of course, sometimes I have my little, like, maybe a sweet tooth late at night, but I try to do that with like mostly fruits and stuff. But if somehow there was like, I don't know, someone had a party or I just have like bad stuff in the kitchen, I probably will eat it. But if I were to give myself a score, I don't know, maybe 7 or 8 on that because I know it could be better. But I would say I'm better than most, maybe, or better than the average. I don't know. Um, so that's that question. How often do you exercise? So I usually bike to campus, so I guess that's like very light exercise. But I do also like to go exercise like during lunchtime or like early afternoon. Uh, Usually about 5 to 6 times a week, depending how it lines up. If it gets busy, maybe a little less. Uh, so yeah, I would say maybe 5 or 6 times a week. Usually maybe an hour, hour and a half each exercise. So I would say an okay amount. Um, what political party do you affiliate with? Um, so hopefully this isn't shown to my parents. So I was raised pretty conservatively. Um, my dad's ex-Mormon, my mom is Catholic, so conservative blood runs with it, runs within me, excuse me. However, uh, after living by myself and like moving away from my parents, lived in like pretty more liberal areas like Austin. I would say the university I'm at too is a little bit liberal too. I've also worked with people that I would say that I wasn't used to interacting with also when I was doing customer service in college. It kind of opened my mind a little bit more, and I would say like not that I'm liberal, but I know moderate's a lame thing to say, but I would say I'm pretty moderate. Maybe fiscally I'm conservative, but socially or morally I feel more liberal or moderate at least. So I'm putting myself right in the middle for that. Are you proud to be an American? Yeah, I I would say, I mean, of course, like, you know, some things we've done in the past, no one's perfect, no nation's perfect, and I know we have certain privileges as Americans, and um, we're not a perfect nation, but I am proud of the opportunities we have, and hopefully the opportunities that it gives some people. I know some other people have a harder time getting those opportunities, even as non-Americans, but um, at least to an American, which I could consider as a privilege, like it's a good place to be, and I know people from other nations that would wish to be here too, even though of course we're not perfect. So, are you religious? It's a hard question. Um, I would say I do believe like there's a higher purpose or like there is a God. Um, I don't know if it's like the God in say how it was taught like with Catholicism and stuff. But I do think there is a higher power. So in terms of maybe being religious, like I would say somewhat, but definitely not as much as like the average Christian or the average like Catholic Sunday goer and stuff. So that's probably my answer to that. What are some places you travel to? Um, so I'm hoping I could travel a little bit more. Uh, I've always told myself I've been too busy to travel, especially by myself. So it's really just when been with family or for work, sometimes friends. Off the top of my mind though, I've been to New York. I've been to Virginia, DC. I've been to uh Vegas. I've been to California, Florida. So mostly just like within the United States. I wish I can travel like abroad or go outside the US. And hopefully my future lets me travel a little bit more, which I think it will, but we'll see. It's been mainly just within the US, so nothing too exciting. Um, what's one of your favorite things to do? So I mean it's already kind of the background, but I used to and I still play saxophone, even though I'm not like majoring it or anything. So that's one thing I like to do. I like to play instruments to kind of just like keep my mind busy because I tend to especially like overthink stuff when it gets like later in the day. So I feel like it's a good exercise for my brain and like I do like music a lot. So playing instruments, listening to music, that's probably one of my favorite things to do. What's something you wouldn't do even for $10,000? Uh, I would never want to harm someone, even for $10,000. Like maybe like a light punch, right? Something like where they wouldn't bruise. Maybe I would I would do it, but anything past a bruise, a cut, like a wound, something like that, like I couldn't hurt anyone for $10,000. So maybe that's that. Maybe it's a lame answer, but I would do no harm to people even for $10,000. If you could change three things about yourself, what would they be? That's a very good question. I have like moods. Like right now, like I was kind of thinking to myself, it's like, oh, I used to be like more social and active and stuff. Um, and I don't know, maybe because I moved here recently, but I wish I could be like a little bit more social or active because I feel like I talk and get along with people, but I feel like that's more individually. When I'm at like a say a bar or maybe a party or something. Um, it's a little bit out of my comfort zone. Like I'll like get along with people and stuff, but um, I call myself like a functioning introvert, if that makes sense, or extroverted introvert. So maybe if I could be more extroverted, that would be cool. That and that's just one thing. Second thing, um, I feel like I could work harder, but I feel like I'm always thinking that. Um, Maybe it's because I feel like I've been able to work harder in the past, especially when I was in undergrad and masters, because I was really pushing myself to be where I am. And I am happy where I am, but of course, like there's still a lot more to do. So hopefully, I can become more motivated like I did. I've been kind of soul searching for that recently to try to motivate myself to be like as good a work ethic as I used to be, and hopefully I figure it out. So, and then third thing to change, um, this third thing I would change, um, I feel like on the surface, like people told me like I'm not very flappable or I don't take things personally, but I do take things personally. So I wish maybe I could not take them as personally and I could truly be unflappable. Um, However, I mean, in the stuff I study, it's like you see that people do generally care how they present themselves and how people perceive them. So if I can mm, convince myself, like, you know, that's you're not presenting yourself as bad as like you think you are, type of deal. So I feel like some people have it worse, some people have it better and stuff. But if I could not worry about that so much, then that would be pretty good. So yeah, those are my three things. Who is someone you idolize and why? Um, so a musician I like a lot is Stevie Wonder. Um, I think it's like truly impressive with someone with his disability of not seeing that he could learn all these different instruments of like harmonica, piano. I know he's got a couple others, and then like just the chops he has is just like to achieve that level of coordination with like those instruments and to have like that voice like that. Yeah, I think the dude could even speak Spanish, which is like even more impressive as someone that can't like actually see and read. Is just like it's incredible. So to have like that motivation and that ethic probably to achieve something like that is like I think it's really impressive. And like not just that alone, I just love his music in general. So that's one person I look up to for sure. Um, and what is your biggest pet peeves? Um, I don't like cocky or arrogant people. So I don't know if that's two or you just sandwich into one, but that's probably my biggest pet peeve. Like, say if I'm on a date and, or even with friends, and they're kind of treating the waiter like, I don't know, like crap. I don't know if I can use that word or not. Um, it does kind of rub me the wrong way. Um, Also people that don't really listen. I'm giving you both content because I know you said one, but I'll give you two. People that don't listen that much, that say maybe you're having an argument, you're not having an argument, and you're saying, something happened, or you state your opinion, and that person just doesn't either agree with you or just doesn't listen to you. That's a pet peeve because I try to listen to people as much as I can. Maybe not as much as I can, but I try to at least. So those are my biggest pet peeves. What's your favorite genre of music? Um, so Stevie Wonder I do like a lot. That's like R&B soul, but I feel like the music I listen to a lot is rock. While I'm studying is jazz because I did want to be a jazz musician, saxophone player and stuff. So yeah, rock, jazz, R&B. I would say that type of stuff. Um, how do you feel about artificial? Oh, actually, take a step back. How do you feel about gardening? So I have tried my best, and I am still trying to um, at least do indoor plants because I haven't had my own yard or anything yet. Um, and it just fails. I just overwater them constantly because I want to make them grow big and strong, but I give them too much stuff and they just yeah, they just stop growing after a while, but I have a batch growing right now and they haven't stopped growing, so hopefully it stays that way. So we'll see. So gardening, at least outdoor, I haven't done. Indoor hasn't been successful, only for like one plant I know, but I literally just put it in a thing of water and it grew by itself. Didn't need to give it any more water. I couldn't overwater it because it was in water. So there was that. So um yeah. How do you feel about artificial intelligence? Um, you know, people are kind of scared about artificial intelligence, but uh, I think maybe I'm biased because of the position I'm at. It's like I would say a little bit harder for them to replace my job, but in terms of like maybe making labor productivity more efficient, I think AI is a great thing to have. It gets rid of the busy work. Um, and all that stuff. I know a lot of people are into coding. I have to code slightly in my projects I have and stuff. I'm not like a super advanced coder. I'm definitely like intermediate, maybe I would say beginner to intermediate, basically. Um, but the thing is, I do feel like coding or coding sciences, even engineering is a bit inflated at the moment. So I do not saying like I told you so type of moment, but I do uh feel like I coding is a completely hard thing to do. It's like it is learning different languages essentially. Um but I do think for beginner coders it's a problem because it's like you can enter chat I don't think I can say big names, but there's like a couple of programs you can do that like helps you code, which for me it's useful, but for someone trying to get a job as an initial coder, it may not be so good. But say like for accounting, it's like I worked in industry for like a tiny bit for a year or so, but um the responsibilities of a first year accountant have changed because of the technologies and computers and all the stuff we have where now first year accounts can handle like bigger tasks because we have computers, we have programs that could do a lot of the stuff we had these first year accountants do. So now I think maybe these new coders can have more responsibilities of like refining this code and like not doing so much of the dirty work of trying to like construct the code from like scratch, if that makes sense. So I think, and my professor said this too, it's like, like, and like introducing the typewriter, introducing the computer, like, yes, or even the phone, it's gonna, in the short term, it's gonna disrupt like jobs and stuff, but for the long run, it's gonna improve what we can do because that's what technologies do. It just makes our lives and jobs easier. So I'm welcome to it. The only thing I would say is maybe a little different is that this technology can somewhat invoke like creative arts and that type of stuff. So in terms of like people that pursue art, that pursue music, it's like it's a little concerning for them. I will say that, especially because like I did want to do music at the beginning. Um However, I heard like it hasn't gotten to that point where it's how do you say, it completely feels authentic. I feel like if you aren't human, it won't ever get to true authenticity, and like maybe you can't say what is truly authentic, but that's the one thing that's interesting about this technology. So, in general, I think it's good, at least in the long term, with this whole being able to do creative arts thing. That's the one thing. It's like I'm excited to see more creativity, but for people that do work in these like creative fields, it is a bit it's a little, I would be a little bit nervous because it adds almost more competition to the market of creative arts, if that makes sense. What are three talents you believe you have? Um so I'm a pretty all right saxophone player. I'm definitely not like the best or anything like that. I still get like somewhat anxious whenever I play in front of people, but I've well put over 10,000 hours in playing. So like I used to be probably better because I don't practice as much. It's hard to play in an apartment. So I would say that's at least one skill I kind of have. Um what else? Budgeting, I would say I'm pretty okay at. Um I know how to like set up like I know how to do taxes. I know how to set up a budget to set up retirement accounts usually. So that's like I would say it's like an impressive skill to have, or like not much of a skill, but I know how to do that. So I'll count it because I can't think of too much. Um, what else? A third skill I have is probably I used to play a lot of like video games and stuff as a kid, and I still play somewhat too. Not nearly as much as I used to, and I do it more if I have the time. The summer it's been like a little less work for me, so I've gone to that. Or at least I've started playing a little bit more. But I know once school starts, like in August and such, that'll probably not be as much. But I feel like I can grab a controller or a keyboard and like kind of learn games in general pretty quickly. So maybe not even just video games, but board games. I used to play chess a lot. I like, strategic games and that stuff. So, uh, that's one thing I could like kind of keep up with. So maybe that's another skill. Um, let's see. And do you think life is fair? Life is not fair. I know some people are given certain advantages and some people are given disadvantages. Some of the stuff I research and like from personal experience too, some people, have a head start in life before they're born, um, the ethnicity they are, all these other things. Uh, so people can start off life pretty hard, but it's what you can do within the opportunities you do have that hopefully you can catch up to other people, or maybe you can even use, your disadvantages of life to be advantage in life in the long run. So life isn't equal for anyone. We all sleep the same. We all are generally the same people, but I'll see how we are raised and where we start off with and the schools we go to, all that stuff. Like it, it it's a little bit unbalanced, but I think what's important is just to seize the opportunities you are given ethically, of course. And you could be just as well off as anyone else, and hopefully more well off too. If money wasn't an issue, what would you spend most of your time doing? I think music. Like I love music. Um, I I always want to spend time doing music, but it's like I feel like I should be focusing on my job or um trying to get ahead. Uh, and yeah, I would say my job or like other things like that. So I would want to like explore music a little bit more if money wasn't a problem, if I didn't need to get a job. If I was retired, I would probably want to do music, if that makes sense. What's the worst job you ever had? My first job, I would say ever, was the worst job I ever had. I say that because it was a customer service like food job. I've done like I've done two customer service food jobs, thinking about it, but this one was like it wasn't even much of an interview. They were new and they needed people type of deal, so they hired me and stuff. And the thing was, since it was my first job, um, I wanted to make a very good impression on the manager and all the people there. So I worked hard. I worked overtime. I would pick up shifts, all that stuff. And the thing was, like, I was such a good worker, at least to the company, that they would like I would say take advantage of me. They wouldn't give me breaks. I would work 8 to 10 hours a day type of deal. Um, I lost weight from it, and it's pretty hard when you're surrounded with food too. So yeah, I left that job thankfully. They actually like closed down pretty soon after I left, so maybe I was that big of an asset, but that was probably the worst job I had. Um, just it wasn't good conditions for me, so. I did learn some stuff interacting with people, the business side and stuff, but yeah, it wasn't that good of a time. Um, that's why I left mainly. What's or how do you feel about your childhood? It was good. Um, I have three brothers, so all boys, and we spend a lot of time together. We're all pretty close in age too, so if we were in school, we were spending time with each other basically. So like I know some people don't appreciate their family very much, but I do a lot. And I know maybe sometimes I don't show it to them, but like my brothers are my brothers. I could always rely on them and stuff. So they made up most of my childhood basically is what I'm trying to say. And of course, some of my friends I met through school as well. How's your relationship with your parents? Good. My mom, she's a very social person. She always wants a phone call. So I used to be pretty bad with not calling her, but as I'm getting older and stuff, I do call her a little more often and try to see how she's doing and stuff. So with my mom, it's good. My dad, it's good as well. Um, he appreciates my work and all that stuff. A little bit more like stern, strict, I would say, but like he's a really good dad. He's kind of the person that's always motivated me to work pretty hard, if that makes sense. Um, how's your relationship with your kids? I don't have kids, so I'll probably skip that question. What's a difficult lesson you learned through experience? Um, so one thing, and sorry that light's like kind of bothering. I'm just laying back now. One thing I learned, it's not all about grades. It's how do I say? Like once when you're applying for a job and there's a high amount of well qualified people with good GPAs or in these organizations and stuff, because I mean the thing my parents pushed a lot was like grades and stuff. They didn't have a college education. They went through high school, but they're always pushing grades on us. But like one thing I learned. I wouldn't say the hard way because I'm happy where I am now, but the beginning was like it's sometimes for some jobs it's not even about grades. It's just like how you present yourself, how you are as a person because like I said, there's a lot of candidates like you and there's nothing special about you. Maybe you're even pessimistic, which I feel like I used to be. They're not going to want to work with you. I mean, why would they want to work with you when they can just hire someone that has like an okay personality or better personality? So the thing is, like, you want to stick out to the other people. I mean, not too standoffish, not too like snarky and stuff, but just like show you're like a good, authentic person, which I'm not the best person, but I do try to be authentic at least. And that way employers can see like, oh, like, this guy's, real, and maybe my authentic self isn't suitable for that position, but um, they get what they pay for, or like meaning like I am presenting myself, I'm showing myself how I'm gonna be. I'm not putting like a front or anything like that. So I feel like that also goes away because some people do try to like kind of like puff themselves up with air and try to like say, oh, I know these code languages. Oh, like, I'm efficient in these like skills and yada. And once they get to the workplace, it's like they don't know like how to do that. And they probably won't fire them, but they'll probably kind of judge them a little bit at first. And will say that first impressions do go a long way as well. So do good in school, but also try to be authentic, because uh, these HR people that are constantly recruiting people, like they'll be able to tell.